Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, YouTube. All right, let's get our IG friends on. And my notes. Welcome, welcome, clutter-free family. Welcome to the Clarity Hotline, where we're answering real-life questions. The questions might be complicated. The answers are simple. We're here to debunk the things that confuse us and keep us stuck. Okay, that's what this is all about. I'm Yvette, the declutterist, your less is more coach and business mentor. And let's see, the questions pre-submitted for today are, I'm going to go back to Mary's question from 2 weeks ago, because last week I took vacation, so I took the week off. I want to get back to Mary's question. How can I get more help around the house? Sorry, Mary, this is kind of, if I started last time on that question and didn't finish, we'll definitely get to it today. And then Tyler asks, why are yawns contagious and sneezes aren't? Which I think was funny. And I actually included that in this call. I wasn't, gonna just dismiss it as spam. And who knows, it could be, Tyler, is that spam? But I actually found it pretty fascinating because I did have to Google it to find out, because I don't know. But it opened up kind of some other insights. And so, we're going to answer it. Let's be present, though. Let's get present here and be together on this call whenever you're watching it. Let's start with our breathing exercise. Take a big breath in and out. Take a big breath in for the count of 4. And out for 7. So in, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we got that nice escape of energy and tension and, just kind of like a mellowing out that we're doing together. Take a couple more. Whatever you need to arrive and be in this with me. And if I can see all of everybody's comments, then I can, if you guys have any questions in addition to what was already pre-submitted, feel free to chime in. I definitely want to make this interactive, even though I am taking pre-submitted questions. So, whatever, just interact, engage. I do want to just ask how everybody's doing. The climate's kind of trying. There's a lot of worry in the air and concern, for loved ones, family, friends, people you don't know, in really tough situations. And they're tough because you see it on the news, you hear about it. And you can just imagine yourself in those shoes and how awful it would be. And I just want to see how everyone's feeling. How are you doing? How are you feeling is really what I want to know. How are you feeling? What are you thinking about? What's kind of the dominant conversation in your head when it comes to what's going on in the world and with you in your world? I think everything that we see outside is ultimately a reflection of what we're most insecure of inside, if it terrifies us. Now, if it empowers us, then we're just looking at what's happening outside and kind of feeling, a resonance of like, oh, I get that. And I love that. And that's great. And, there's just this like joy that comes from hearing that news. And that's not all pervasive right now on the news today. And so, just wanted to check in, see how everybody's doing. I do want to say, I think kind of like in terms of like the news and what is happening out there, there was something interesting that I watched that came across my YouTube feed, and I definitely watched it. Because it was about parenting. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Did you see that Candace Owens YouTube on Jubilee, I think is the YouTuber account, and it was her against 20 feminists. And there was like a series of like one conservative versus 20 feminists. And everyone brought up really good points, even the conservative, even the feminists. They all brought up good points, like good, in my opinion, good points that it's like, oh, I hadn't thought of that, or I didn't think of it that way, or I absolutely agree. And so it was like a kind of perspective shift for me. I definitely watched it all the way through. She's talking about her book and how it makes a couple claims about how women, as women are, or the feminist movement has made women more miserable. And she's got a couple claims in there. Like basically, if a woman doesn't have a family, then she's not as fulfilled as if she is when she does have a family, when she does have kids to care for. And she speaks to that kind of innate, inherent aspect of womanhood, motherhood, biology, I think is kind of what she's saying. And, agree to disagree, and who cares? It's not the point of this conversation. I think more my point is like how it made me think of something else, which is like you gotta be for because they were speaking to like the fact that she's a successful entrepreneur. And she's saying that she's not as fulfilled in entrepreneurship as she is in motherhood. And I knew, and she's like, the minute I had kids, everything shifted for me. And that was the same for me too. Everything shifted. I had my business before, and it's like a line in the sand, a hard detour to the whatever, that I was like, okay, it's not the same. I love being a mother. It's my priority role. It comes first above all. And I recognize that in my day-to-day decision making, my day-to-day interactions. It's kind of like they're always in the back of my mind. I'm always thinking about them. They always factor into what I decide to do with my life. And so much so that it informs my work now. And I love working with entrepreneurs still, but mostly mom entrepreneurs, because I understand the conflict that we feel when having a business and having a family. And how do you balance the two? How do you balance raising tiny humans and building a business, building an empire, right? We're making 6-7 figures, and it's like, we can do that. We can do that and raise kids. But I do believe that your parenting, how well you parent, is a direct reflection of how successful you can be as an entrepreneur. And that's because once you become a mom, everything shifts. And even your physiology, everything shifts. Nothing is as important if you are raising those kids and you're with them and you consider that your priority focus, then nothing compares, right? And like Candace had said, nothing compares in terms of her fulfillment for that. And I agree. However, I still get fulfilled doing this work, serving the entrepreneurs, serving my clients, serving my entrepreneur moms, and helping them get clear on what they want to create, seeing the aha moments, the epiphanies, and in kind of redefining what productivity could mean, so that it doesn't have to be this hustle culture, this toxic productivity that takes over that maybe you used to do before kids, and now it's just like not going to happen. It can't happen that way. So it's like, I'm interested in those conversations. And so I think YouTube algorithm was like, Hiri, do you like this? And I was like, yeah, tell me more. Because I think, being a good parent determines your success as an entrepreneur, because parenting comes first. It's like an indication. How well you feel as a parent is how good you will feel as an entrepreneur. Because if you feel like you're doing parenthood right, like you've got some redemption there, then you won't have the guilt or the worry or the disconnect or the distraction in business. You'll start to see that, well, I've got to adjust how I'm working and what I'm working on, because I know what matters most. And so everything that doesn't matter I don't even want to touch it. I want to touch the things that matter most, because now that I know what matters most, like even more so, not to say that I didn't know what matters most as a single, whatever, something, 20 something, 30 something person, and, without kids, I knew what mattered most to me then. And now it's different. It's like, I know what matters most. I'm not going to spend time doing what doesn't matter, because I don't have time to do that. And where I want my flexibility to be is in service. I want it to be in serving my clients. I want my flexibility to be in being able to be there for my kids, the sick days, the doctor appointments, the school schedules, the early outs, the early dismissals, all those things. I want to be present and available to that, because I want to be available, present and available to the cognitive and the emotional development of my kids, because I believe, and I can't disconnect from this truth that I hold in my heart. If you believe otherwise, let me know. Obviously I'm, whatever, let's talk about it. But I believe that what was I saying? So this truth that I believe in my heart is that, like, everything's got to work around me being a mother, because this truth that I hold in my heart is that mothers really are the signifiers of how well a mother is doing in her own wellness and well-being, and her ability to parent well, in her opinion, determines, like, her success in life. How does she feel? And how does she feel about everything, right? How's everything functioning? And how well she's doing determines how well the kids will do in those areas that the mother is most responsible for. And I believe mothers are most responsible for whether kids are spiritually in tuned and awake, emotionally in tuned and awake, emotionally intelligent, emotionally connected with themselves, able to dig deep within themselves and uncover what is there for them to discover. And I believe that moms are responsible for teaching that, because it's mother nature, mother nurture. This is where we excel. It's like yin and yang. That feminine nature brings a quality that the masculine cannot. Is it only the mother in the household that can bring those things? Absolutely not. I'm sure there's some feminine forward others that are in the household that can also offer those things. And they do. And it's not that it's only the mother, because the mother has some masculine traits, the yang traits. And so it is, the partner, the husband, the dad, the whatever, fill in the blank, whoever else is the guardian over these kids, whoever else is there, concerned with the emotional and cognitive and spiritual development of these kids, there's going to be that yin and yang, okay, within that person too. And so how that all comes out is also a factor. And so this is why, being a healthy mom, being a mom who's got time to care for herself is so important, because if the mother is depressed, despondent, disconnected, I had depleted. I faced all that after my second son. I faced all those things. And I thought that, one, I was like, I've got to beat this. I've got to beat these feelings out of me. Like, you know what I mean? I've got to beat them out of me. In a way, I was like beating myself down about them, when it was just this natural 4th, 5th trimester that I was going through. One, losing some access to my toddler because I had a newborn. That was sad for me. Losing more time with 2 babies, 2 under 2. It was like a lot. And, as far as like taking of your time, taking of your mental bandwidth, your physical capacity, being touched on or touched out, whatever. It's like that all was factoring in too. And so it's like, I thought that I just had to like, figure it out. I had to get so logical. And so that's so masculine versus kind of being with the natural ebb and flow, the natural progression, the natural evolution of me as a mother. I eventually, got outed enough to have some awareness around, what I was going through, being able to name it, being able to see it as just, okay, well, I was going through that, and it's fine, as long as I can show up and be a good mom. That was still like the resounding kind of argument in my brain. It's like, but you got to be a good mom. You got to be a good mom. So, I don't know. Why am I bringing that up? I think it's just food for thought. I think that as much as we, try to do it all, have it all, maybe we should know what having it all means. We should redefine success once we become parents. We should understand that what having it all means might look like just living on purpose, being connected to your kids, having a bond with your kids, your babies, your kids, your teens, like having a connection there, and being fully able to express yourself in all of your roles confidently, right? Having that clarity to know what it is that you want in each role so that you can start to build a life that makes room for each of these roles. That's also kind of in there, right? When it comes to being a mother. And I think we get into motherhood, we like become mothers, we birth these humans into the world, but are we taking the time to reflect on, well, what's changed? What's changed in even my relationship with my partner, right? The father of my kids, what's changed there? And how am I showing up, or what's required of me? I think there's kind of this reckoning of like, let's see what that is. Let's come to terms with what that is so that we can avoid these doubtful moments, the second guessing, the which happens. I mean, because we're learning, it's a learning curve to be a parent, to become a parent, and there's learning curves at every phase of life for those kids. It's like, you're mothering a toddler, preschooler, um, primary schooler, middle schooler, all the way up, teenager. Like, you're mothering them and they're going through these big, big changes, and you get to witness that, observe that, help foster their emotional and cognitive development within that. It's like, and they're going to need different things at different times. And so it's just, something to spend time with that transition so that you can avoid the doubt, the second guessing, the despondency, the depletion, so that you know what you need, your body needs, your brain and body need, the identity crisis, the imposter syndrome, getting back to work, coming out from maternity leave, getting back into work, getting back to your career. And that changes a lot too for people. A lot of moms I know don't want to go back to a 9 to 5. They want to be home with their babies. And I think that's great. It is what it is. If you either way you go, if you're desperate to get back to work or you're not, it's like, just recognize that in yourself. And so how can you build a life around those aspirations, those desires, that way you want to live, so that your kids still get the support, you front and center when you are with them, in the ways that you as mother can be with them, that benefit their well-being, that benefit their development. I have such a heart for kids, that and I think that's why I am so passionate about my work with moms. I have such a heart for kids to get everything that they came for into this life, get every ounce of love, of attention, of bonding, of imprinting on that is good for their souls so that they can fully flourish and be who they want to be in this lifetime. And, what does a world like that look like, where these kids are getting all of that from whoever is their guardian? Because we've got foster care, right? That is also a factor in that if the kids aren't with their parent, their biological parents, or some version of their parents and bloodline, then we've got adopted parents and that system, right? And adopted parents get to also learn how to be. And I think there's some innate calling and that speaks to them on like how do I show up for this child, which is such a beautiful thing, adoption. And yeah, it's I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up and see what you guys thought about that. That is kind of where I've been going with some of my thoughts. Let's get to this Tyler's question. It is yawning. Why are yawns contagious and sneezes aren't? That is a good question. I had to throw this one in because let me read you what Google said. So some researchers suggest that contagious yawning is linked to mirror neurons in the brain, which are thought to play a role in empathy and understanding others' actions. And so we yawn when other people are yawning because it's a bonding element. Like we're talking a lot about bonding here today, because when we see other people do something like, tilt their head to their side, hand on, or place their head on their hand, or they lean in, we do the same. Like our body language matches. And it's funny that yawning would be part of the body language that we seek to match, like when we're in conversation with somebody, but there's like this empathy for how their body might be tired in that moment, how their mind might be fatigued in that moment. And so the yawn is coming out, right? And I think there's kind of like, oh, it's a reminder of breath. And I think another little trigger that we mirror is water. Like when people are drinking water, don't you immediately feel thirsty and you need to drink water? It's kind of like, we're mirroring what the body needs. It's like, oh man, I didn't think of that. Oh yeah, my brain probably needs oxygen right now too. Let me go ahead and yawn as well and take in that big gust of air. That is what I think is really cool about mirroring. Something that we do in the Minimalist Entrepreneur Club is co-working sessions. It's part of our accountability track, and we're, co-working sessions, we're working together, we're on Zoom, we're all doing priority focused work. We know exactly what it is and we share it together. What are we working on? And by the end of this time, we do Pomodoro style sessions. By the end of this time, what do I want to be complete with? What do I want to feel complete with? And with priority focus, you just focus on that thing, nothing else to distract you, just that thing. And so you're working on that and everyone's working on something. And so you see all the little people, all the little cameras on people in their work environment doing their thing, working on their work. And it really is mirroring, right? We're mirroring each other, and it's a form of accountability because we're all being held accountable to getting this thing done that we said we're going to get done by the end of this time. And it's like a 25, 5, 25, 5. And so in that hour, we've got those 2 5-minute breaks and, we're working. It's like this, just really this sprint toward the finish line for this particular project. And the way I work with my clients is, we simplify things down to like the stupidest simple thing that it's impossible not to get this thing done. And then you got the next thing that's just stupid simple and that you could get this thing done. It's impossible not to get this thing done. And so we know by breaking down a big project, which a lot of people want to tackle those big projects in these co-working sessions in the club. It's like you want to just tackle the thing that you've been scared to touch because you've got these other people doing it with you. And so you've got the accountability there. And aside that, in addition to like the accountability structure that's weekly, that how we kind of stay connected to our goals and move in progress and be held accountable in progressing toward that goal. This the co-working sessions is a part of that track. So the two of them is like mirroring, right? We're mirroring the progress of each other. It's like, if you don't have support in this way, entrepreneurship is a lonely, lonely game. We need support in this way. We need a network. We need a community. We need other people doing what we're doing. Maybe not exactly what we're doing as far as like, industry or execution or niche, but we're all in this, right? We're all in this game of entrepreneurship, battling the same kind of doubts and fears about, am I enough? Can I do this? Do I have what it takes? And we're all working through that, right? Together. Find yourself a community. And so some people call it body doubling. I don't know if you've heard of that. Body doubling, that's another way to say mirroring. And so it's like we're body doubling. We're doppelgangers. We're copying each other. Like, how focused we're competing with how focused we can stay on this task and be in the zone, in the time frame that we've set to get this stuff done. And it's a beautiful, cool thing. So if you need that community, I'll put the link in the description box. But yeah, I think that was a cool question from Tyler, because it led me down kind of like, yeah, who knew that yawning was because we mirror that, it's like this bonding thing that we have as humans. And I think physiologically speaking, it's almost like we're one. We're all one. And the more we can remember that, the better. Because we're not separate entities. I am not me and you are not you. Like, we are I. We are one. And separation and thinking we're different from everybody else is cause for comparison and feeling like inferior. It's like, that is why, because we feel the divide between the haves and the have-nots. It's the divide between what they have and what I don't. And immediately, if you put yourself in there positioned against somebody, then it's a lack. It's a scarcity mindset. It's immediately, what is that word I'm looking for? It's falling into a sense of lack. And from any place, from any limitation, lack, doubt, fear, even anger, grief, all those things are you in an inferior position to where you would want to be. And where you would want to be is abundant and joyful and alive and energetic and enthusiastic and powerful, right? That's where we want to be. And anytime we're not feeling that way is a signifier of the fact that we are in lack, is an indication that we are not in our power. And therefore, we are not attracting the things that we want. We're not attracting abundance. We're not attractive to abundance. So therefore, we're not attracted to abundance. If anything, we're looking at it as what we can't have. And so therefore, we're attracted to staying in scarcity and lack. It's like the more we repeat these thoughts of what I don't have and why don't I have it yet? And I can't have it. I probably won't ever have it because who am I to have it? It's like these thoughts are in the way of us thinking better feeling thoughts that ultimately are getting us more and more aligned with the vibration of abundance and joy and peace and love and clarity where we want to be. So the mindset work is so crucial when you go out and endeavor toward anything. Mindset is so crucial because it's doing majority of the heavy lifting toward our goals, toward our dreams. So if we can spend time working on our mindset, clearing up the clutter of limiting beliefs and inferiority, insecurity, and just clean up kind of the mess that tends to run rampant in our inner chatter, right? This inner monologue going on in our heads about ourselves, and we clean that up, then we'll notice, oh wow, I'm opportunities and people and cooperation and collaboration and network and support, they're all like just flowing to me with ease because we're going with the current of of the divine, God, universe. We're going with the flow of that. We're not resisting it with our thoughts that pit us against it, that have us moving upstream, trying to turn our boat against the current and riding upstream, when if we turn our boat back with the flow, everything is easy. Everything just feels easy. And easy is on the same wavelength as abundance, as clarity, as peace, as joy. And when you can tap into that wavelength, then everything is possible, right? Then it's like we cleared out all the stuff, all the junk that's in the way of us believing that we can do it. And now we know we can because we've made room for possibility. We've made room for us to show up as that and be confident and know that we can, right? We've made room for those thoughts that believe we can. And then what do those thoughts beget? Behavior, right? Belief begets behavior. A repeated thought becomes a belief. Repeated behavior becomes a habit. And by any standard of our lives, we're living on belief and habit, right? It's like we are operating from so much habitual thinking and behaving that we've got to do some deep digging to get out from some of the not so good feeling habits and beliefs that have us feeling like we can't do it. We're not ever going to do it. We don't have what it takes, and all of that. So okay, I think we could put a bow on that one. Thanks, Tyler. See, and you know what else about that question is, why are yawns contagious? Is I'm just showing you that anything goes here. You can ask any question. Remember, clarityhotline.com, submit your question. Any question really goes, because I think it all lends itself to us living a more full life. If anything is confounding and confusing and cloudy in your thinking, then you don't have clarity. So let's nip that in the bud and let's get some clarity on what's keeping us stuck and what's in the way. And let's just start moving forward. So really, anything goes. So Mary's question, I'm getting back to that one. How can I get more help around the house? So this one I had some time to work through, didn't I? I thought I had some notes for Mary. Oh yeah, I do. So how can I get more help around the house? This question, I believe, has to do with maybe distribution of labor in the household. Even if you have grown kids, you are probably hoping that they help more. If you've got a partner and you're not a single parent, then you've got help from your partner. So equal distribution of labor in the way that, when I was growing up in my household of 4 other siblings, we had our chores on the weekends, but for the most part my parents didn't make us do a lot of work around the house. I think they really wanted us to focus on our studies and homework and get good sleep, and so I respect that. But I do remember pulling weeds, cleaning toilets, mopping, sweeping, vacuuming, a lot, and cleaning my room, tidying my room, making sure my mom actually did the laundry and put the laundry away for us. So that's a big deal. So I find myself doing that in my house, doing the laundry and putting it all away. And so I'm like, not interested in that so much when, I've got the 3 boys around me that can help and do their part. So I just think, it's good to first seek help. So good that you're not doing it all yourself. Um, that's important to recognize that it's okay to ask for help. I think that's a big, big step. So thank you. Thanks for asking for help. Um, the second move is, I think, like the second big move after asking for help is like knowing exactly what you need help with. So what is it that you like least to do? What and would somebody else take that up, that that duty off your plate? Um, it means though that you would want to spend time teaching them, working with them on what does it look like to have this particular task complete, by you, by me, by everyone, so that we know that we all agree that a vacuumed room looks like this. I know with my dad, he was always like, you could always tell when my dad vacuumed. He did such a great job, like making those lines in the carpet, and they were always like so perfect. And I would try to copy that. And it's like, that's a sign of a clean room. And so you kind of want to everyone get on board with, this is what a clean room looks like. Everything from the vacuuming to the dusting to the mopping to the taking things off the floor, putting them away, and where is a way for everything? What's the home for everything? And so see how it starts to get kind of nuanced, and you don't have to have the label maker and put labels on boxes and things like that. It makes it easier for everybody. I don't have labels on things. We all just know where things go because it's just a consistent efforting of, well, that goes there and this goes there and that, and so everybody knows it. What, if anything, it's kind of like, well, that goes in the yellow bin, and so that kind of happens. I think I just move more organically than that. But I can appreciate labels on things, but it doesn't mean that you have to do that. You just got to find a way that you can all agree and come together and understand that, this is what tidy looks like. This is, when you get home, this is where your backpack goes. This is where your shoes go. You wash your hands, and there's like an order, right? And the more you drill this in and you practice, you guys are drilling together, this practice. This is why fire drills, you should do this with your kids and your family. Earthquake drills, you should do this with your kids and your family. That's why schools are doing that, because everybody needs to know where to go. Everybody, instead of panic, you need to have calm, and there's calm in clarity. I know that when the earth shakes and I'm in my classroom, I go here and I follow that and I meet in this place. It's just like clockwork. Boom, 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 boom. Same thing for the home. It's like, when the earth shakes, this is where I go. So, hopefully we're doing that, but we're not like being harbingers of, I don't know, I wanted to say that. I don't know what, of doom, harbingers of doom. We're not like, just survivalists and fear mongers, like trying to, prepare for every apocalyptic outcome. There's a fine balance there. But all that to say, when you know where everything goes, what clean looks like, right? There's clarity and there's calm in clarity. There's peace, there's order, there's community, there's communion, there is connection, right? Because clutter is not in the way of us connecting with one another at home. And so I think it's an admirable thing to get more help around the house, because then you have more space to fill your time with other things that are important to you, which is what we talked about kind of at the top of this hour, is that, mothers need to spend time taking care of themselves so that they can be good mothers. And I think tap into what intuitively and innately they believe they're called to do. And I think it will come as insight when you have the space and the time to think about those things. when you have separation, or let me not use the word separation because we just kind of we charged that word a couple minutes ago. When you have some distance from the day-to-day grind with the kids, raising the kids and doing the housework and running your business from your laptop, when you've got yourself some time away from those things, then it's like, well, there's room for insight. There's room for recalibrating, recentering, readjusting, realigning with our focus, our purpose, our vision for our lives. And we need that, because I think we can get caught up in the hustle and bustle of it all, and that hectic lifestyle just creates a hectic mind. It's like, and we need to do the counter to that hectic day to day. We need to have like a counterbalance to that, so that we're not just like always living in this chaos. That we can bring some calm that comes with downtime and self-care. So what does self-care look like for you? So if you've got help around the house, Mary, are you going to be able to fill your time with self-care? What does that look like? What are you going to do? What do you want? I think that's going to be the motivating factor, the incentive behind making sure that you are spending time helping your family get on board with how to help the household, how to be part of this, where no bribery is necessary. You don't need to bribe your kids or your partner for them to do their fair share of the housework, right? To help around the house. They will feel drawn to do their share because it's just part of living in a house with other people, and this makes for a happy home for them included. It's like, and so that takes time to work on that, to drill that into your family's group think, like this agreement that you guys all make, that this is, how you're going to be, and how you're going to clean, and how you're going to come home and not throw your clothes on the floor or your backpack on the floor right in the way of the door. Like, you are going to put it on the hook. This is where the backpack goes. Like, you're spending the time, right? And so that is kind of like your incentive to do those things, take the time there. The incentive is now like also being like, okay, my incentive is that I'm going to make the time for me. I'm going to make me time. So think about, what does me time look like for you, so that you're incentivized, and because by this vision of you having the time to, I'll get a facial, or I'll get a massage, or I'll take a bath, I'll read a book, I'll do all the things that I, haven't been able to do because I've had toddlers and, and kids, babies in diapers, and, no time to myself to even think, and let alone like get up, out of this bed. Those kinds of things. It's like this natural evolution of raising a family. All these things start to come. And then like homework enters the scene, right? Homework, and helping them with homework, making sure dinner's on the table, something healthy, outdoor activities, getting outdoors, getting off the screen, setting screen time limit. All of this starts to factor in, and extracurriculars. What do you want them to do? What do you see? What do you observe in your kids as their natural inclination to be that they're into? Then how can you support that? It's like, how can you support them flourishing in what they want to do, right? There's got to be room for that too. There's got to be space for that too. So that way you're not getting home from ballet to a messy house, and you're the only one to clean it. You're the only one that everyone thinks should be the one to clean it. You get home from a soccer game, and it's the same. It's like you're the only one to get the kids cleaned up and food on the table. Like, that's just, it's maddening. So yes, get help. Thank you for even asking that question, because you've got some awareness around the fact that yes, you should have help. Raising a kid takes a village, and it means in this way, raising a family takes a village. It's because not everything should fall on your shoulders, because it's too much to do anything well. You need time away from it to rest, balance, get balanced. um so all of that is kind of like this fuel to the fire for why you would ask for help, why you would do the work to get help, and then remembering when you have help, what it looks like for you, what it means for you. That's also kind of the juicy bits that I think go back to being in vibration with our vision of abundance, of joy, of peace, of having enough, of feeling fulfilled, of um, living the life we want to live. It's right. We got to be on that wavelength. And so that is our work. That is our work in the world. And when we ask for help, we make it easier. It's called leverage, getting leverage for all the things that need to get done in our world that we feel we don't have enough time to do. It's like, well, there's our opportunity to ask for help. So bravo, Mary, for asking for help. That's a big one. So I hope that helps. I guess some ideas I thought about for you is like, here are some things that you can start to get help with are, vacuuming, dusting, doing the laundry, maybe starting the load, right? So starting the load, maybe someone else can move the load to the dryer or hang it to dry. That's kind of one task. Maybe the other task is taking the dry clothes, folding them, putting it away. It's kind of like you can break all this up. Remember, I talked about simplifying into the stupidest, simplest, easiest, way to break down a big project. It's like break them down into steps so simple, like it's impossible not to do. Break them down like that for the family. And then everybody just kind of like, it's like these gears that work off each other. It's like this assembly line of chores. It's like, okay, well, and maybe don't even call them chores. Maybe call them something else. I don't know, but chores just sounds boring and nobody wants to do chores. Maybe you can call it something like, I don't know. I haven't thought about that. But anyway, dusting is another one. Taking out the trash, mail, opening up the mail, categorizing the mail, getting the simple stuff done, like the bills paid, if they're not on auto pay. Those kinds of things I think are also worth getting some help with. Yeah. So get on the same page with all those little things. I'm sure there's tons. I'm obviously that take dishes, loading the dishwasher, clearing out the dishwasher, putting the dishes away, the clean dishes away. I remember my mom and dad growing up. My mom would wash, my dad would rinse. And so it's like, that's also breaking up those things. Or on occasion, my mom would cook, my dad would clean. My dad would cook, my mom would clean the kitchen, that kind of thing. And even though they didn't, ask us for help with the dishes, I always felt like as I got older, like I should be helping. What am I doing? I need to be helping clean the dishes. And so see how just the way that you approach asking for help with around the house will determine if they feel repelled from wanting to help or feeling led from within to want to do their share of the organization and the cleanliness and the order of a really happy home. They're part of the home too. It's the job of the parents to make the home. But then it becomes everybody's job as they become of a certain age that they're capable to start helping make the home, sustain a home, make home happy, So some food for thought. Thanks for everybody's questions. Submit your next questions for next week at clarityhotline.com. And if you want to talk to me privately about any question that you're like, I don't want to ask this and have her talk about it live. And or maybe you want to give a little bit more context and have some back and forth dialogue. We actually absolutely can do that too. I open my calendar for Clarity Hotliners to jump in there and we can have a clarity session together. So look for that link as well. Join me next week for the next Clarity Hotline, Thursday, 12 noon Pacific. Actually, next week too, I'm hosting an exclusive clarity session for my entrepreneur clients, as well as their friends. So if you want to bring a friend, it's just one ticket per the two of you or three of you or whatever. Basically, you and however many people you want to bring can come to this clarity session, and we treat it like a hot seat. You guys get to bring your business questions and whatever you're struggling through, and we find the clarity, right? That we break down a big project to its simplest tasks. We get unstuck mentally around maybe a project or confidence or what's a lot of anxiety around starting a business or putting yourself out there on social is a big one that I worked through with several of my clients. So you're not alone if that's you, if you're in that boat. Even so much as starting a YouTube channel and getting on lives and showing up on social, in all your whatever, I woke up like this glory, and just owning it. Whatever it is. Like I said, anything goes, even in there too. And how you're doing at home. This goes back to, I believe you have to be a good parent first before you're a good entrepreneur. The home dynamics also kind of factor into us as entrepreneurs. So if there's something even in the home that's got you stressed out, that's got you a little bit stuck and unsure how to move through, that all, we take care of all that stuff too, right? This is a 360-degree clarity for a full, well-rounded life. I've worked with clients around their relationships. They were moving through getting married or getting a divorce and how that looked with their roles now, right? Their new roles and how they want to define them for themselves, without giving up their aspirations as an entrepreneur. Also a big one. But anywho, so I'll end here. Thanks for coming on live with me. I will see you next week. Peace. Check out the links in the description box. And I'll see you next week, YouTube.